Okay. All right. So we are live.
Hi,
Hopefully,
Pam.
hey, how are you? Hey, Meet, I'm glad you could join and we could get this, do this once again, answer some
Absolutely.
questions for some folks. So I'm going to be toggling back and forth between this and my Facebook page. So I can, if anybody's on and we need to answer some questions, um, I'll be toggling back and forth.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So COVID-19 has really like just shut everything down. But we're in Georgia, so the state is opening back up on Friday, which some folks are not too happy about that. A
Yeah.
little nervous. Even the ones that are not working, like our hairstylists and nail techs and barbers and things like that, they're still a little bit nervous about going back to work. I mean, they want to the income, they miss that income, but for the most part, most of the people that I've talked to, they are really concerned about their health overall.
Yeah.
So, it's just a mixed bag of, even the folks that I've spoken with out of town, they're watching us in Georgia and they can't believe that we're opening back up so soon.
Especially as recently as we've shut down things. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting, I think. A little scary.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't talked to anyone in the health field who's
Mm-hmm.
excited about it or who is ready for it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. A couple of friends that I have are nurses and they can't believe it.
Yeah.
They just can't believe that we're opening back up. So I
Mhm.
mean, what do you do? So I'm pretty sure a lot of folks have had questions about what's happening with real estate with COVID-19 because everything is slowed down. And there's so many, you and I talked about this, there are so many rumors that are out there that you just, honestly, you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know what to believe because, and the thing that I'm finding is that there's a lot of information, but oftentimes a lot of the information that's being reported, it's not, the full story is not being reported. All of
Right.
it's not accurate. And so you can easily just go online and look up something, but you have to know the full story. So I'm just going to go over some statistics with what's going on in the Atlanta real estate market. A lot of people thought that, when COVID-19 happened and things started slowing down and, buyers were not getting approved or sellers had started, taking their homes off of the market or putting them on hold for a little while. They just automatically thought, okay, the real estate market is crashing. Home prices are going to be super cheap, which is not the case.
Yeah.
It's not the case. I mean, things have slowed down. I know for us, for me and some of my colleagues and some of the like some of my vendor partners,
Mhm.
we have taken extra precautions with regards to, wearing the gloves or doing virtual tours, which for folks that wanted to relocate to Atlanta, I would do virtual tours anyway.
Okay.
But right now, we're taking extra precautions with wearing the face mask, doing virtual consultations, speaking over the phone, just whatever we can do to make things convenient. There are some sellers that are putting their homes on hold just until this whole thing blows over. And I'm finding it, I mean, and it's okay. People seem to understand,
Mhm.
what's going on. So, it's just a slowdown. But I want to go over some statistics. The Atlanta Realtors just issued a market brief regarding what went on last month in the real estate market, March of 2020. So I want to go over those real quickly. And then I know that you and I had some questions that we seem to be getting a lot. So I want to discuss those as well, just to kind of dispel some myths and so people can get the real, accurate information. Okay. So last month, the total sales did decrease from 2019. They decreased by about almost 4%. I want to say 3.9%. So there has been a decrease in sales, not because people don't want to put their homes on market, but because with everything that's going on, we've had some buyers not get approved because of some changes, and you'll cover some changes that some lenders have made. But there has been a decrease.
Mhm.
from year to year. Okay. The sales price, which people don't realize this. I keep telling people we are not, the market isn't crashing. Your home is going to appreciate. So from March 2019 to March 2020, sales price has increased by 6.5%.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah, and that's, this is data coming from one of our listing services. So it's data that's out there. So it's not just data that I'm making up. It's data that's out there. It pulls from all of the counties that are in Metro Atlanta. I think there are what, 8 counties. You've got DeKalb, Fulton, Cherokee, Clayton, Cobb. There are a couple of others. Forsyth, and then there's one more. But overall, prices are up 6.5%. So prices are still, increasing. So when we say, now is the time to buy, depending on your situation, if you can afford to purchase and if it fits your budget, you want to buy. Waiting until next year, you're going to pay a little bit more for that home. That's just what the numbers say. And it tends to appreciate year after year. So, and I will say, I don't care what the market is doing, whether we're in a recession, whether interest rates are low or interest rates are high, you have to purchase when the time is right for you.
Definitely.
Yes, you have to purchase when the time is right for you. I'm not one to use scare tactics or, throw numbers out and say, now you have to purchase because next year you won't be able to afford to. Well, I don't know that. But if the time is right for you right now, then why not? Also, the average sales price, oh, we covered that, is up by almost 4%. Inventory, oh my goodness, inventory is super low right now. Right now, depending on where you are, I know in some parts of DeKalb, inventory is less than 2 months. There's less than 2 months of inventory. So overall, there is about just a little over 2 months of inventory, maybe like 2.5 months of inventory.
I have a question about that because
Yes.
I don't know what that means really. I'm real estate adjacent, but I don't know anything about the real estate market. I depend on you guys to be the expert in that. When you say that there's 2 months of inventory, do you mean that it's only enough houses for the average amount of contracts that are done in a 2-month period? Or that it takes someone 2 months to find a house or 2 months to close? Like, what is that?
So with the houses or the homes that we have listed on the market right now, if no one else put their home on the market, they would all be gone or sold in 2 months and there'd be no more houses to sell.
Okay.
So it's still a seller's market here. It's
What's
still
the average amount of inventory that's on the market this time of year? Okay.
Well, since we're in the seller's market.
Yeah, because it changes depending on the time of the year. Maybe there's more inventory at certain times of the year than others?
Well, yes and no. See, since we're in a seller's market, it's always, and it's been like this for the past couple of years, it's been about 3 months worth of inventory.
Okay.
When it's balanced, we'll have about 6 months of inventory. That's where there's enough for yeah. And any more than that, then you get into a buyer's market. So it's like we have this many buyers, and this many houses for sale. Okay. So if we were in a balanced market, we'd have this many houses and this many buyers. When we're in a buyer's market, we've got this many houses for sale and this many buyers. So we're still in a seller's market. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So we've got, inventory is really low. I checked the numbers not too long ago. And in some counties, I'm seeing where there's less than 2 months worth of inventory. So people are snatching those houses up. It may not have been their first choice, but some people are, they want to own a home. And there's some really good homes out there. Like I said, it may not be your first choice. You might have to put a little sweat equity into it, have to do a little work, but you own it. And if you don't like it, guess what? In 2 or 3 years, you can sell it. If you're renting, you can't sell it. You're just stuck. Yeah. And you're going to have to move on anyway. So the market here is still really strong. A couple of my colleagues, they are still closing I'm seeing listings that are under a certain price point they're going under contract within 2 or 3 days with multiple offers. When you start getting into that luxury market where homes are, and that's here in Atlanta, where homes are over that $600,000 mark, that market has started slowing down anyway. So, but they are offering, discounts and things like that because that market is a lot harder to sell.
Okay.
Okay, because not everybody has that amount, can afford that amount of home. But that luxury market here is starting to slow down a little bit. So if you're in that market, you can get a good deal right now. If you are in the 300 and under, you might have a tough time. And if you're under 200 and under, you're really gonna have a tough time.
Okay.
A real tough time. A real tough time. And we're still walking into multiple offer situations. So, yep. Let's see. New listings are up from last year. They're up 16% from March of 2019. So people are still putting their homes on the market. I'd be anxious to see what April's numbers are going to be once this is over with, because I want to see what the trend is for next month. Also, real quick, active listings with the homes that were listed on the market. The sales, like I said, sales are down, and that's just because people are a little bit nervous. Okay. Anything you want to add, Meta?
I know that we had a couple of weeks of uncertainty across the board, borrowers, sellers, lenders, especially where the guidelines were changing quite a bit, and where maybe if you had a contract in play, the lenders put a freeze on it, put a hold, not just on that individual's file, but on all of their funding or all of their funding for certain products. And I've seen a lot of that kind of level out. The lenders who needed a good amount of time are not accepting any new loans. So I'm not seeing as much of I submitted a loan through XYZ lender and they're dragging it out extra long while they try to get some money, or they are canceling one particular type of program. For the most part, from what I'm seeing, that's done. And the lenders that are here and still in play are confident within the guideline restrictions that they've made. So if you're submitting another contract in and it fits in with the guidelines that they had, barring any major changes, because who knows what's happening with COVID, right? But I'm seeing those loans continue on through their 30, 60, 90-day process, however long the loan is structured to take. So that, is, I think, a weight off a lot of people's shoulders. You certainly don't want to take months to get your finances together and then take months to shop for a house and get under contract, and suddenly my clear close means nothing because the lender ran out of money. So I'm glad that has seemed to have settled down.
Good. Now, there are a couple of specific questions that you and I discussed that I'm pretty sure it's on everybody's mind because it's what's going on right now. With everybody getting laid off or furloughed, how does that affect them getting a pre-approval?
Well, you'll need to have some consistency with your job in order to get a home loan, because that ensures to the lender that you have consistent income and you can pay going forward. So if you're furloughed or laid off, even if you had a pre-approval before, you're not going to get to the final approval stage, right? If you maybe got laid off and can get a job very quickly within the same field, maybe you just have to wait until your 90-day probationary period, or whatever your new company's probationary period is. You just have to wait till the probationary period is over, and hopefully everything lines up with the last job. You got a similar income, it's the same industry. Maybe you can just wait a little bit of time and get pre-approved again. But pre-approvals are not permanent documents anyway, and they're not guaranteed. It really is very dependent on your last 30 days of financial health, what your bank accounts, what your investment accounts, what your income has looked like for the past 30 days. So if any of that changes, then the pre-approval terms change, right? And then a pre-approval is not a guarantee of approval for the lender. There's a pre-qualification, and that's just what I say, that's just a conversation you and I are having about the possibilities. I haven't verified anything, you haven't given me any documents. It's just, well, based on what you're telling me, this is what the numbers look like. Pre-approval means that I've verified the things. I've gone through the paperwork. I've gotten the correct paperwork, you know? Um, and that says based on the guidelines that I have for the loan that you're interested in, you should be able to get approved for a loan based on what you've given me. And it should be for about this amount. That's not the same as the underwriter going through their full book of guidelines for the loan. And that's the approval. And so what we've been seeing is the guidelines have been changing, but also people's circumstances are changing. And if your circumstances are changing to that great an extent, any of the documents I requested, your pay stubs, bank account, if that's changed dramatically, then the pre-approval is changing. So people just want to wait. And that the same thing goes for furloughs and leaves. Maybe you already had leave scheduled for this month. The lender's going to want to be very clear that that leave isn't related to COVID-19. And that is a leave that you chose to take that had nothing to do with it.
Gotcha.
They want to be certain that that leave isn't going to come back up. Paid or unpaid leave, even if it's paid at a certain percentage, it will change the parameters of your pre-approval. So yeah, I just say be in contact with your mortgage loan originator during this time. There's no point in not telling me that you've been furloughed or on leave or changed. Yeah. It's going to come up.
It's going to
come up. You want it to come up early on in the process so you can get your earnest money back or not waste any more time, rather than they're going to check on your job the day of closing. We're still having another verification of employment done the day of closing, and it's going to come up.
Yeah, I just had a closing last week, and it seemed like this closing dragged. It took forever, and there was some certain situations going on with the seller, but the buyer in the situation, he had taken a leave. Thank goodness it wasn't because of COVID-19, but he did take a leave. And he just happens to be relocating from New Jersey to here. So, the lender automatically, we automatically thought, oh my goodness, this, the buyer is sick or he had to take a leave because of COVID-19. Thank goodness that wasn't the case, but it still delayed some things. It only delayed it by a couple of days, but it still delayed some things because there was a change in income. And they had to verify that the leave wasn't COVID-19 related, that it was something that was already planned, all that good stuff. So yeah, yep, it works out. So now with FHA, this is a big one. I know you've been hearing this. What's going on with FHA? Some people are saying, oh, I can still do it with the 580, or no, you have to have a 680. Oh, I can't do down payment assistance. What are some things that you're seeing with that FHA, that minimum credit score that's required? Because I know you guys are still doing them at 600, or you can still get someone approved.
I can go down to 580. So okay, the thing with lenders, I work for a brokerage, so we have around 50 lenders to shop from. Before this, we had we had near 500 products. So there's a wide variety of options. That's a little different from if you go into Bank of USA. They've got 7 different types of loans: VA, USDA, conventional. They got their 7. You apply, you fit within their guidelines. If you don't, it's denied, and you just move on to a different lender. So I can shop a wider variety. So each lender's rules are going to be different, and so that's probably one of the biggest reasons I can tell people to speak with a mortgage loan originator to find out what works for your particular file, as opposed to the general chatter you hear out there, because it might not be applicable to you. So yes, I still have lenders that are going down to 580. And prior to this, the baseline was like a 620 FICO. I shop you to every lender at 620. Some lenders might be slightly higher. Some lenders might go down lower. So I could still do 580. What I'm seeing with the 580s is that there's more fees associated. You may have a larger down payment. You may have to pay all of your origination fees on your own instead of having the lender pay. The loans are still there. The guidelines are just a little tighter. Maybe they have a stipulation where you can't have had any insufficient fees in your bank statement for the past 12 months. So who knows what the guidelines are going to be for each lender for everybody's scenario. We just got to see the whole file and find a place where it fits. I think we got a little lag. Can you hear me?
We did. I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear
Yeah,
you now.
there's just a bunch of teeny tiny things within each lender's guidelines that will make a file work or not work. That's not to say, so I'm not saying every 580 with 3.5% down has DPA, and like you don't get everything on the plate.
Yeah.
But there are still those options out there.
Yeah. And you know what? And I tell everybody that every person's real estate experience, buying experience, whether it's a buying experience or selling experience, is different. So just because your friends or your aunt or your coworker, just because their experience was this way, that doesn't mean that this is how your experience is going to go. Because be honest, they're not going to tell you everything. You know what I mean? They're not going to tell you everything. So your finances are different. Your credit's going to be different. It's just everybody's variables are going to be different. So your experience is not going to be the same. So I try to tell people that also. So it's not, it's not a one size fit all. This is why we do consultations, just to kind of prepare you for what's going on. We try to prepare you for everything that's going to come across, but things do happen during the process. So just know that real estate is not one of those things where it's one size fit all.
It isn't. And especially I think today with the amount of variables that there are, at least on my side, the lending side, for me, the important thing is, are we being open, communicating with each other, being honest, and putting everything out there to get ahead of issues that may come up?
Yeah.
Are you being flexible? And are we going to get the deal finished? So it's been a rocky road for a few months, for a few weeks. Maybe we're not having as smooth of a close as we used to.
Yeah.
But are we getting closed?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. And a lot of the things are part of the home buying package, but are not necessarily things that are, I guess, in either you as the realtor's control or me as the mortgage loan originator. I had a file that was clear to close in under 10 days, but the courthouse was closed, right? Courthouse was shut down, so we couldn't get documents signed. Closing a little delayed. Nothing anybody can do about that except make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's and communicating with everybody. That I got all my stuff set up, that I'm making sure that the buyer and the seller are ready to go for once we get that. And then once we finally got that document, we pushed 5 days worth of work into 2 days so we could get that buyer closed before their lock ran out.
Yeah.
I'm seeing things where appraisals are just delayed. It takes a while for an appraiser to pick up the file because they don't want to go on houses either sometimes.
Yes.
Or the lender's changing the way that they process appraisals or the rules for the appraisal. Maybe they're taking into consideration that a lot of appraisers don't want to go inside. So they're allowing for exterior only appraisals. Well, that takes a while to get that type of guideline change in play. But it is what it is. We'll get through this.
Yeah. And you know what I've seen with the appraisals? I know with a couple of my folks, the appraiser is actually asking them to obviously keep the distance, keep that 6 feet away. But they're asking the sellers to just go in and open up all of the kitchen cabinets and just open the doors. They don't want to have to touch anything. So if they don't have to touch anything, the last appraisal that I had done, I was surprised that the appraiser was in and out so fast.
Yeah.
I was really shocked. I'm like, I'm like, when I spoke with my seller and they're like, yeah, he was in and out, he was in and out. He meant business.
And so you have to think that the appraisal is really for the lender. It's to ensure that the lender is not making a bad deal, that this house meets certain standards so that if something should happen to it, that they can resell it. And so basically that they're not making a bad bet. But if they're going to relax the standards for the appraisal, it's got to be at the very least across a company-wide standard or an industry-wide standard. And those things are changing. So I've just noticed that patience is really key during this time that we're in for everybody. For the delivery people delivering groceries to your house, maybe they're taking all day to do it, right? Maybe they don't have all the stuff. Your kids are on Zoom for their schoolwork. It might take them a few weeks to get used to being held accountable to the work, but not being with their friends and having FaceTime with their teacher. Teacher may not know how to use Zoom. We just all got to be patient and connected and help one another during this time and focus on the end goal, I think.
Exactly, which is getting everyone in our case, getting you to the closing table.
Yes.
And for the most part, everybody's been working hard and together to make sure that that happens. So, and just kind of rolling with the punches as things change. So I think everybody's been doing a really good job with that. So now, what happens? Because I know that there's been a lot of, I haven't been hearing it so much lately, but like when all this first started happening, what happens when a person can't pay their mortgage or they have to um, do a forbearance? What is that process like?
Well, here's what I'm telling everybody to talk to about forbearance. You need to get the documentation from your lender,
Mhm.
read it over 3 times, and discuss it with a financial expert. And check in, especially with your mortgage loan originator,
Mhm.
and have them go over it with them.
Mhm.
I'd be happy to help anybody with any docs. There's no charge. I'm not making any money off the deal. But what I'm finding is that as people are telling each other what's happening with the forbearance, they're
Mhm.
leaving out a lot of things.
Mhm.
Some things are only applicable to one type of loan or one type of lender. So you really want to know what your lender is offering you for your type of loan. For instance, at the end of, let's say you take a 3-month forbearance,
Mhm.
you may owe all of those fees back on the 4th month, plus all of the mortgage payment, plus fees and interest.
So they can call all of that back payment
They
due.
can.
Okay.
You want to read your docs, right?
Yeah.
At the and maybe they're not asking for any proof of why you need the forbearance in the beginning. Maybe you just have to tell them you want the forbearance. But
Mhm.
at the end of it, there may be some proof required. There
Mhm.
may be some proof to extend it. Are you putting yourself in a position to lose your home at the end of this period? While there's a 90-day moratorium on foreclosures, at the end of 90 days, are you putting yourself at risk for foreclosure?
Gotcha.
Um, the people say, oh, it's not being reported to your credit. It's on your credit. It, your, the credits is your credit report is basically information given by your current lenders to future lenders on how well you pay your bills.
Mhm.
And while there may be some systems in place to allow you to take a break from paying your bills, your student loans, or your mortgage right now, that information is still going to be shared.
Yeah.
So I recommend people really think about, if you're out of work and you don't have the money, I think it's awesome that our government has so very quickly put in place a way for people to not lose the roof over their head. I think that has taken the stress off of a lot of people's shoulders at this time.
Yeah.
But if you don't need it, I wouldn't recommend taking it.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to maybe put a pause on other bills so that your mortgage is paid, I would definitely recommend doing that. I'm not getting any money out of your deal. I'm just trying to help people see what's in the documents that you may not be reading or understanding. Because those documents, this stack of paper you have for any loan, is to protect the lender, not
Yeah.
to protect you. And so it's a lot of legalese.
Mhm.
And that requires a lot of times some help understanding, not because the person is not smart enough to understand it, but because it's designed to not be so easily understandable, right?
Yeah.
So take your time, make sure it works for you.
Yeah. And if it's documents that we are reading every day, we're kind of used to, we know where to go. I know with some of the contracts that we have to use, I know where to go to look up something. Or what does this mean? Or, you obviously you don't want to bypass anything that's in that document. You want to read it. But when you're looking at a document every day, you can go straight to it. You can go straight to it. So, yep, yep. Now, somebody asked me this the other day. Um, I'm working with a client and she's really interested in all of the homes that we're looking at in her price point. They're going to need a lot of work, mostly cosmetic work. We are running into some that, in my opinion, should just be a total tear down, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. But we are running into homes with what's left on the market, the inventory that's left. We are running into homes that will need some work done. So she inquired about a 2 or 3K loan. Are those still available?
I don't currently have a lender that's offering 2 or 3K. Um, I have some hard money lenders. They're still up and running. They're still happy to finance fix and flips and fix and renos, fix and holds. But yeah, That's not to say that program's gone forever. It's not even to say that program's gone. I just don't have anyone that's
Yeah,
actively pursuing funding those loans right
yeah, yeah. You're not the only one. I've spoken with other lenders. They're not. It's just not going to happen right now.
And you know, the thing about the 203K is it's a whole process. It's not just the loan. You got to, depending on what type of work needs to be done, you got a whole team that's got to come out and commit to doing the construction. Is that whole pipeline working and going to meet the deadlines?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different layers to it that it just seems that the cleaner files are the ones that are still being processed, and all the ones with the extra contingencies, the fancy financing is paused for the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and I think for the most part, you know, people have to understand that things have slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
We're not stopping, but things have slowed down somewhat. You know, it's anytime, like I said, I'll say it again, anytime you're able to buy, you should. You know, you should, whether interest rates are high or whether they're low. If you have the ability or if you need to relocate, whatever your particular situation is, you should buy. One thing that I have noticed is a lot of folks who had Airbnb properties and say maybe they were overly leveraged with those Airbnb properties. They are really taking a hit right now. I have noticed that. But it's just, you know, we'll bounce back from it and, you know, keep it moving. You know, the market is really strong in Atlanta. Our job market was really strong here. So, you know, I can't predict the future. All I can say is, as of right now, things are still moving forward. It's just a little slow, but they're still moving forward.
They are definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I sometimes have to tell, especially new buyers, is that the amount of the house and the amount of your income are just two parts of getting a home loan. What's your savings look like? What's your credit look like? What's on your credit report? Mm-hmm. Sometimes those extra things take a few months to get in place. Mm-hmm. And so if you are thinking about buying a home in the future, even if it's 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, still a perfect opportunity to speak with a real estate professional like Ms. Ellis or mortgage loan originator and get things set up properly.
Like
so
you.
Definitely to get things set up so that when you are ready to move, you already have all the things in place, and it's not, well, you need to wait 6 months because you got to fix this, and that.
Yes.
Or you didn't take into consideration the fact that XYZ, and so that's going to mean you got a 3-month delay. Go ahead and get things structured now. It's just a conversation. Neither of us charge for a consultation. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't have the time to flood you with emails and phone calls after you consult with me. So, you know, I'm not going to harass you and try to lock you into a loan immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yep. So listen, I think we had a really good conversation. We answered a lot of questions. Mita, why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with you if they, you know, if they're interested in just exploring, you know, home ownership to see what they need to do to qualify. So
definitely, if you're on Facebook, then just search for Meta Rumph. I'm the only one there. If you are on Instagram, and I meant to put a little sign up, but if you're on Instagram, it's at Mortgage Pro Mita. That's at Mortgage Pro Mita. You can call me at 678-368-3674. Text me. Happy to answer any questions. Send me an email. Send me a DM. I guess are there DMs on Facebook? Some type of. I'll call you back.
But you know what? I never check that's a really bad habit. I've started turning my notifications off because when they go off, I mean, people will send notifications. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. So I just turn mine off and I'll automatically.
It's coming to your phone?
Yeah. I'm connected to my phone like nobody's business, okay?
Okay.
Like nobody's business. I'm connected to that phone. So I just had to turn them off and set aside time where I'm checking DMs and checking emails instead of first thing in the morning when I wake up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So yeah, and then if anybody wants, you know, any information on how the real estate market is, and if you want something that's specific to your area in Atlanta, I can get that information out to you because like I said, it's different depending on where you are in Atlanta. Overall, you know, the market is strong. But if you want to get a little bit more specific, say like by zip code or by neighborhood or anything like that, I can certainly get that out to you. You can reach me on 678-263-8966, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and Facebook at Shannon Ellis and Associates. You can send me an email, Shannon at Shannon Ellis and Associates. So we're both pretty accessible. And you can see that the communication level is there. Both are pretty approachable. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. Do you have anything else you want to add, Mia?
No, I really just think there are exciting times ahead for people who are positioned.
Yes.
And the information is out there, but it's always specific to your circumstances. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions of not your uncle and your brother and your sister and your cousin, because as Shannon said, everybody's situation is going to be different. But yeah, just get some answers. I'm happy to help. Excited to do my first Facebook Live with Shannon. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It seems this is the way to go right now.
Yes, definitely. I think I've done 4 Zooms today.
I mean, you know what? I think, you know, going forward, people really are enjoying this. I mean, some people still like that human interaction, but initially, I mean, I think this is it.
Yeah.
I think this is it. So if there are no more questions, if you don't have anything else we want to add, we are going to end this in this right here. And if, like I said, if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out, we're both pretty accessible, so don't hesitate, okay? We'll be able to answer all of the questions that you have.
All right, well, goodbye.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.